Hey everyone, hope you guys are having a great day. We have a pretty big show. This one took a little bit of time to put together. So hopefully you'll find it entertaining. But we have some updates on a bunch of different things. We have updates, obviously, on Diddy. There's actually several stories that we're going to, I'm trying to adjust my camera here, talk about. And they have an update on the Abercrombie guy. And then there's another story that I'm going to share with you guys. There was a few things that actually I wanted to share, like some actual just like basic news, breaking news, kind of current event stuff, but there just ended up becoming so much with all the Diddy articles, all the things that have been coming out as of the last like 24, 36 hours or so, that I was like, all right, we're going to focus on this and we can do something else later. Now, if you are watching this on Insta, Facebook, or YouTube, you're going to be able to see all the visuals, everything that we have, and we do have some visuals today. If you are here, make sure to hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. That's a free thing that you can do to help me grow this channel. Now, if you are one of my TikTok fam watching over here, if you want to see the visuals, you have to hop over to YouTube or one of those others. But do me a solid. If you are going to stay on YouTube, or sorry, on TikTok and knock over, you'll still hear everything. You just won't see the visuals. But make sure to tap that screen. Let's get this to 10,000 to get this pushed out. That being said, let's just kind of delve into it. Now, normally, I will say this. Normally, this is the point of the show where I will talk to you guys about my books and like, whatever, and let you guys know like, hey, you got to do the things that pay the bills, right? That's normally what I'll do. Getting my notes over here. Sorry. And I'm going to do that after I share this story with you guys first. Okay. So this guy right here has nothing to do with the other stories that we're talking about, but there's a reason that I'm doing this, and you'll see why. It's a current event, one that I had already put on the roster to talk about, one that I've actually even recorded a video about and haven't put out yet. But this guy right here, his name is Dustin Lamar Peoples, and he's from Alabama, and he was just convicted of some pretty horrific crimes. And so I'm going to give you a trigger warning on this because you're going to want one. But basically, I don't know the relationship to the 10-year-old girl, but in March of 2019, a 10-year-old girl went to a trusted grown-up, a trusted adult, and told them that there were some things going on that weren't basically okay. And what they found out is that he had been abusing this girl from about August 7th, 2018 through Christmas of the same year. So for a few months at least, while she was 10 years old. And the reason that he was doing this, or his reason for the abuse, or how he orchestrated it, was he said that it was so she could play her video games. Like, okay, you can have time to play your video games, but you have to do this first. All right. That's what happened. And a few days later, she was interviewed at the Blount County, this is in Alabama, so I don't know if it's Blount like they do here, or Blount, whatever, County Children's Center. And the person who interviewed her said that she was so innocent, this little girl, that she didn't even know the common words that adults or even teenagers would use to describe what had happened to her. She spoke as just an innocent child. And so this guy was indicted by a grand jury. This was back in August 19 of 2019. And he's been free ever since. He just had his trial. He's just been convicted. He got out on bail. Then COVID happened shortly thereafter, and everything got behind. But this guy, who was a predator to children, had proof that things had been done, was indicted by a grand jury. They let this guy out with these types of crimes, and he was just recently convicted. And his convictions basically were that he was found guilty of abuse of a child under the age of 12 and sodomy in the first degree. That's what his charges were. But the reason I bring that up, and this is really kind of, this story is a really good reason as to why, and a precursor for this, because this is exactly why I did this. That is why I wrote this book in particular. In fact, in it, it says, basically it teaches your children to go tell a trusted adult if things happen, that adults should not be asking them to keep secrets. I could not give a better, like, I hate to turn this horrific story into like a promotion, so to speak, but it is the exact reason why this book was written. So as a parent, if you need this, or you have kids, please purchase this for them. because this is designed to help keep them safe. And I have the other book too. I'm not going to talk about those, but that's the whole reason why I wanted y'all to be aware of that. Now, with that being said, let's talk about this guy right here. All right. And by the way, if you are on TikTok, like I said before, and you're just coming in, we are live on YouTube. If you want to see the images and videos that we're going to be doing, you have to be on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. Now, this right here is Michael Jeffries. And if you heard all the information about him yesterday, he was arrested, him along with his romantic partner. And I'm going to put a little caveat to that romantic partner here in a second, because I discovered something that completely surprised me. But we'll get to it in a second. And their recruiter, I can't remember his name at this moment, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm talking about Jeffries right now, but this guy, I think it was James Jacobson. That was his name. They were all arrested, and they went to see, 2 of them were arraigned in Florida. 1 of them was arraigned in Wisconsin. They all are going to have to be arraigned again in New York. Okay. This guy right here, I chose this picture. This is him coming out of the jail after posting bond with this weird, creepy smile on his face, very content on what happened here. Okay. Very content on what happened here. And basically, he is out, but his partner, romantic partner / business partner who helped with this, Matthew Smith, will remain in custody until his New York arraignment. Now, when he left the court, he has surrounded by his attorneys, and the judge ruled that he could go free on bond while fighting his trafficking charges, right? Now, prosecutors agreed with his lawyers on a $10 million bond, which they are securing by a house that he co-owns, you ready for this? With his wife on Fisher's Island, New York. He's been married to a woman, which, I mean, whatever. I know a lot of gay people are married to a woman, and that's fine. That's not a big deal, whatever. He's been married to the same woman since 1971, and he was doing this for years. She's well aware of this, apparently, doing this for years. Like, I know she was a cover, a beard, whatever the case is. Maybe it's because she gets a good life. I don't know. The guy's worth $300 million, but he co-owns it with his wife. They put that up, but I was shocked to find out that he was married. So I did some research into that and found that out. Part of the conditions of his release is that he will be fitted with a GPS ankle monitor and restricted to his apartment in Palm Beach. Now, again, his romantic partner, Matthew Smith, is a UK citizen who resides in the United States. He waived his pretrial intervention and will remain in jail until he faces arraignment in New York. So let's talk about this, because there's a couple things that we need to talk about on this, because I'm actually kind of frustrated about this. And this leads into the story that I started off with as well. When people are charged with this type of stuff, okay, with trafficking and building a network to do it, similar to Diddy, who we're going to talk about here in a moment as well. But when people have that, or they've touched or been inappropriate with children, and there's enough evidence there to prove that that's the case, and you're talking about with like this Jeffries case, there was enough evidence that this was federal. This is federal stuff. This is the FBI, right? It's just whatever. So it's just, these people should not be getting out of jail at all. But why this guy got to go see a judge in Florida and was out like that, like so quick. And Diddy's offering to put up $40 million or $50 million plus his house, plus this, and this. And they're like, nah, bro, you're staying in. And look, I don't know the history and the rumors surrounding Michael Jeffries like we do with Diddy, right? Like, I don't know what the differences is as far as rumors go, but we know that he coerced, used force, used threats, everything like that to get these guys into these situations. So the thing about this is, why are we letting this guy out and not Diddy? Or more importantly, why aren't we keeping them all in jail? Like, I'm not trying to be that guy right now, but it seems like one of the main differences on this, because it's the same essentially charges, the same type of network, uber wealthy people. This guy gets out, Diddy doesn't, and the glaring difference is that Diddy is black. Now, frankly, they should both be in prison or jail until they do, because here's what's going to happen with this guy. Diddy wants his trial quick. He wants to be out of jail. Now, do I think he's getting out of jail? Absolutely not. I don't. But he wants to be out of jail, so he wants his trial as quickly as he can. This guy right here, he's 80 years old. He can postpone. And somebody said too, he also allegedly, and I haven't researched or deep dive this guy also has connections to Epstein, by the way. Allegedly. I've got to do some research into that, so take that with a grain of salt till I do. But This guy's 80 years old. His lawyers can continue to file continuance after continuance after continuance and buy years of time till this guy just dies. Live a lot of his life until he just dies. I mean, he's at his Palm Beach apartment. He's going to be limited on what he can do, whatever the case is. Somebody said he looks younger. That's because of a lot of plastic surgery and a lot of money. That's what that'll get you. But that being said, I do hope that he does end up. So what's going to happen with this? This is a very interesting case, and I'm going to kind of walk you guys through this because I found this pretty interesting. I had to go down a rabbit hole on this entire thing. But basically, they are going to have to be arraigned in the Eastern District Court of New York. That's different than the one Diddy's at is the Southern District Court. This is going to be the District Court of New York. In the meantime, Jeffries and his partner Smith were both arraigned in front of a federal judge in Florida. The other guy, James Jacobson, was arraigned in front of a federal judge in Wisconsin. At a later date, they are all going to be brought and rearraigned in New York, because that's where the charges are going to stem from, things like that. That's where the complaint was filed. Now, he could, even though he's put up this bond now, he could potentially be thrown back into jail without bond in New York. That is a possibility. That is a possibility. Now, here's what's going to happen, basically. And I'm going to repeat this real quick. Just because someone received a bond in Florida does not guarantee they're going to receive the same one in New York. And I hope that's the case. We don't know yet, and we don't know the date that it's going to happen. Of course, I'll keep you updated once we do. And the New York judge will then make their own assessment based on flight risk, danger to the community, nature and circumstances of the charges that are in New York, the person's ties to the New York community, criminal history, and their compliance with the Florida bond conditions, which are probably going to be pretty stellar, honestly. And the New York judge could still decide to deny bond, even if Florida granted it. And that happens, sometimes, again, if the charges are more serious, if new evidence of a flight risk emerges, the defendant has fewer ties to New York than Florida, which is probably the case, or actually probably not the case. The judge considers the total combination of charges in both jurisdictions. And usually if granted bond in both jurisdictions, the defendant would need to satisfy the conditions of both bonds and both courts. So, I don't know what's going to happen in New York yet. We just don't know. We just don't know. But to me, this guy is an old white dude with probably not that long. He's 80 years old. So how much time could he possibly have left? Even if he gets 5 years, even if he gets 3 years, that could be the rest of his life behind bars, right? To me, this guy's worth $300 million, which, I mean, when you get to that amount of money, what's the difference between 300 million and $1 billion at this point? It's still insane amount of money. It's still the same amount of money that can get you out of the country, get you, to areas that don't have extradition, et cetera, et cetera. So I think he could be a great flight risk. Look at what he's facing, but time will tell on that. But I wanted to bring that up because it's really kind of challenging to deal with this whole situation with him. And I think that when you're talking about this, why, when somebody who has very similar charges has been denied 3 times and this guy gets to just walk out same day, arrest in the morning, out by the afternoon. That's what happened. That's what happened here. Now let's get into Diddy. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm not going to belabor the point on Michael Jeffries. Let's talk about Diddy. So again, if you are on TikTok, you're not seeing this, but on the other platforms this is streaming on, you will be able to see this. Diddy's children made a statement. They came out in solidarity and put a statement up together. And here's what it says. They posted this picture. This was posted by Quincy Combs, verified account on Insta. You can go look at it right now. And basically, here's what it says. The past month has devastated our family. Many have judged him and us based on accusations, conspiracy theories, and false narratives that have spiraled into absurdity on social media. We stand united, supporting you every step of the way. We hold on to the truth, knowing it will prevail, and nothing will break the strength of our family. We miss you and love you, Dad. That is what his kids all came together and made this collaborative post and posted up. Now, there is something in this post that I agree with them on. Because I've seen it. I've even seen it in the comments today on TikTok before I got on and this started rolling, so I couldn't answer them. Has this person been arrested? Has this person been arrested? What about this? What about this? There are some absurd rumors going out there that would be easily verifiable. If you had major people being arrested, major players, major celebrities, you can bet that I'd be talking about it and it would be everywhere. And I've said this before. I think I said it yesterday. I think I said it the day before. Somebody who is privy to this type of super secret information that somebody's getting arrested, somebody's doing this. Nobody's going to a TikTok or YouTube source to share that information. They are going to Daily Mail, New York Post, or one of the many other TMZ who will pay them $10,000 or whatever for this story. That's what's going to happen. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be somebody else that gets these exclusive rights, right, to these stories before anybody else. So if you see a story and you're like, I wonder if this is true, especially if it seems like it could be absurd, Google it. If you hear that Oprah was arrested, if you hear that Tyler Perry was arrested, Google it. It would be everywhere. If you see no articles about it, then you know that it's true because there's nothing out there on it. So just bear that in mind, because and I've said this probably a dozen times since we've started this YouTube show, and even probably 100 times on social media in general. When you have big cases, people want to capitalize off of them because in the interest of transparency, I get paid to make videos. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, they pay me some amount of money based on the viewership of the videos, okay? So obviously I want the views for the videos. I also want to get information out there, but I will not compromise integrity for views. I just won't do it. But there are people who do not care. So they will put something out there that is so outlandish, so ridiculous, because that type of stuff spreads like wildfire, and you can get a video like that, get 10 million views, and that's a good payday for the person. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. And then other creators who try to operate on the truth spend, days trying to debunk this false information. Somebody asked about the leaked Diddy phone call. False. Again, Google it. It's false. It would be all over the place. The way the AI is right now, especially, be skeptical of everything. I mean, honestly. But that's the part I agree with the family on. If you're watching this, if you see what I'm looking up here, that there are some absurd, false narratives. And the thing about this story, the thing about the whole Diddy saga, we've been doing this in every single day, mainly weekdays. Sometimes it takes a break on the weekend, but every single day since Diddy has been arrested, we get a new story, a verified story that becomes more ridiculous than the last. This whole saga is so outlandish on its own that you don't need to add extra and sensationalize it. You just don't. So anyways, I agree with them on that. Now, hold on, my light went off there. There we go. Now let's talk about the other thing. So these kids, which, I mean, they're his kids, right? They're not the only ones who are jumping to his defense. Let's talk about Busta Rhymes for a minute. All right. And I love this headline. That's why I chose it. That's why we're putting it up here. I just like the picture that they did. So Busta Rhymes decided to defend Diddy to extra. And he did say in a different article, this was not in the TMZ one, but this was in a different article, that he said that he has never been to any of Diddy's parties ever. That's what he says. I don't know if it's true. We're going off face value on a lot of this stuff. But basically, he's saying that people don't need to be passing snap judgments. It's for the prosecution, if there's any truth to these allegations. And we'll get into my thoughts on this in a moment. But he said, Busta basically said that the truth needs time to surface, and everyone needs to fall back until then, because he's seeing a lot of thirst on his timeline with everyone interjecting their 2 cents regarding Diddy. Now, Busta and Diddy have been friends for years and collaborators for years and have several songs together, which makes me kind of personally speaking, skeptical that he had never attended one of these events. We can take it at face value, but I am skeptical at the moment. He's also jumping to his defense. Now, that being said, he's not the only one who is offering Diddy support this week. All right. You have Nick Cannon too. Like, I don't know if Nick Cannon needs to be talking about this kind of stuff, but Nick Cannon's coming to his aid as well. So basically, Nick Cannon did a podcast, and some of these people I don't know, so I had to write them down. And he was talking to a guy who goes by, his name is Cash Jones or Whack 100. I don't know who that is. Maybe y'all do. And they discussed these freak-offs and the performances that federal prosecutors have accused Diddy of orchestrating with unwilling participants, right? And, while giving them substances, etc. And Jones says that he attended Combs's parties, but would leave them early, claiming, I've never seen that in regard to like the freak-offs. And then Nick Cannon came in and added, I've never seen none of that either. I leave early. I'm the DJ. When it's time for me to wrap up, I'm out. That's what Nick Cannon said. And then Jones also said that there's no crime in having 1,000 bottles of baby oil. He's not wrong. There's not a crime in that. Then when the co-host Grand Mason mentioned speculation based on recent civil lawsuits about, GHB could have been in the baby oils, Cannon pushed back on that. And he just said, I think it's so much. It's just sensationalized. Now, Nick did go on to say that Diddy's karma is on trial. And then Jones came in and said that regarding the civil litigations about Diddy S-ing minors, he said, here's what he said, and I'm going to quote this. The kids, I've never heard none of that, bro, with Puff. And then Cannon jumps in and says, I don't believe it either. It's his karma that's on trial. That's what that is. Yeah, the karma for messing around with unwilling participants and kids, right? Like that's what these things are. That's your karma, is you get arrested for that. But whatever. Nick then went on. They kept talking about the parties and about Nick and about Diddy. And here's what he said: the Puff I knew. Well, basically, he's talking about how he felt that Diddy changed over the years, and he goes, "The Puff I knew, I felt he wanted to change and was evolving and was like, yo, I want to be a father." And then Nick said, "As a friend and as a brother, I want to defend." He's someone that called, checked on me, stood by me, stood up for me, presumably referring to the anti-Semitic comments. Let's not forget about those that Nick Cannon made back in 2020, because, the birds of a feather, whatever. Now let's talk about this story. This story, y'all, this one kind of sent me. And if you might have seen it already on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, because I posted this one today already. But what you're looking at here is the 2003, and I'm going to play a video for you guys in a second on this one, in case you haven't seen or heard it yet. But what you're looking at here is the 2003 MTV Movie Awards, right? And the girl who you see is clearly a little girl. She's the actress from The Ring. Her name is Davy Chase. And what's interesting, and let me show you a different picture here. These are the two people who are presenting the award to her. And I just find it very interesting that it's these two. It's Ashton Kutcher and Diddy are presenting this little 13-year-old girl with her award for Best Villain. That's what this is. Now, apparently what was supposed to be a comedic segue, which I'm going to show you again here in a second. So again, this gives you people on TikTok time to jump over to YouTube if you want to see this. By the way, if you're coming there, smash that subscribe button, follow, whatever. But what was supposed to be kind of a comedic segue is Puffy here, who's 34 years old when this happened, invites this little girl, say, you come into the after party. And he claims that it was supposed to be a joke or whatever, supposed to be a funny segue. But I have feelings about this. You know what? Let me play the clip first. It's very short. Let me play the clip first, and then we can talk about it. Okay? Then we can talk about it.
Coming to the after party tomorrow? Yeah.
All right. Did you catch that? Let me play it. We'll do it again. Did you catch that, though? What he said? Let's do it one more time. Listen carefully.
Coming to the after party tomorrow? Yeah.
So he was really excited about that. Really excited about that. You could tell that she was very nervous in answering and saying, yeah. And I don't know if she went or not. I don't know what the outcome of that was. Somebody said they can't hear it. As I said, you won't be able to hear it unless you're watching on YouTube. That's why I said, if it gave y'all an opportunity to jump over to YouTube if you wanted to. On TikTok, you can't hear it. Yeah, on TikTok, you can't hear it. I can't do anything about that. TikTok doesn't play nicely with other platforms. So you have to jump over there. And I can play it one more time in a second after we talk about it for anybody who does want to jump over. I'll play it a second time when we get done talking about this. But there's a couple of things that I want to talk about on this. Look at this. This looks like a little girl. This is a little girl. Clearly a child. These are 30-something-year-old men, both of them. I don't know how old Ashton was in 2003, but I question Ashton more and more with all this stuff. And he invites her to an after party. Now, here's the thing. There is no reason as a grown-ass adult that you should be asking a 13-year-old child, or any child for that matter, to come to your party. It's not okay. It's not funny. It's not a joke. It's gross. As a grown man, don't ask kids to come to your party. The only acceptable conversation regarding inviting a child to a party as an adult is if you went up to the child's parents and said, "Hi, my daughter's turning 13, and we would love to have your daughter at her birthday party. Here's where it is." That is the only acceptable thing. But I'm not going to go up to a 13-year-old girl or any child and say, "Hey, you should come to my kid's party." That's weird. That's creepy. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not okay. This is not funny even in jest. And so it's almost like, do you wonder if he was just like, if this was just in plain sight the entire time? You know? I don't know. Now, I promised you guys who were jumping over from TikTok that I would play this clip again for you guys, and we will do it one more time for y'all because I think that seeing his reaction is important. So if you want to jump over, you can. If you can't stay for the whole thing, this is recorded on YouTube and it is safe. But let's play it again for y'all.
Coming to the after party tonight? Yeah.
Very weird, guys. Very weird. It's strange. It's gross. And we're talking about Ashton Kutcher here for a second. Y'all, I'm not making any accusations about Ashton. I have concerns about Ashton. I have concerns from the pictures I saw from the VMAs and the way he was like leaned up on her. I have concerns about his friendship. There's actually a picture of him, Danny Masterson, and Diddy together, and I'm like, yeah, that tracks. I'm concerned about the fact that he was head of the Thorn thing, and I say that because I'm not making accusations. I just said I have concerns. I want to make that very clear. That he was head of the Thorn to help, victims of child trafficking, because oftentimes people who get into those types of situations do so in order to be closer to victims or to try to separate themselves from those types of victims and those types of situations. And I'll give Ashton the benefit of the doubt because until something comes out, nothing comes out. You don't have anything until something comes out, basically. You just have rumors and you have speculation. But let me tell you what, I'm not letting Ashton babysit my daughter. Let's just put it right. Like, I'm not going to let that happen. Like, it's bizarre. Now, a couple other things that I want to talk about that I'm going to talk about J-Lo here in a minute, and I'm going to talk about the details on one of the 7 cases. We got more details on one of them, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute as well as something regarding Liam Payne, and you'll see with anything on that. But before I do that, I came across an article that I found very interesting, and I felt that you guys would find it interesting too. So we're going to talk about it real quick. So in this photo, this is Sienna Grace, and apparently she's an OnlyFans star. I don't know what she did prior to that, but she's on, OF. And she talked about her experience partying with rappers, partying with Diddy at one point even, and talked about secret signals, basically. Like, so there are certain gestures and I'm sure this happens outside of the, hip hop and rap industry. I'm sure it happens in all of them, but we're talking about rappers here particularly. And basically they would employ gestures to show their entourage that a woman is off limits. Now, I have lots of problems with this for a lot of reasons, but let's just go through this article first before I get into that. So things like draping a sweater is kind of what it starts off with over them to show that they're off limits. But she says that there are all sorts of other things that they do. She didn't name names, but she said there was a famous rapper that signaled that she was his girl talking about Sienna by draping a sweater over her. When she was backstage at a show with about 10 people, he put a sweater around me and be like, "This is the girl for the night." She said that this gesture is commonly used to inform a rapper's group that a woman has been chosen and should not be approached by others. Grace further shared that similar tactics were used by a 3-member hip-hop group, and she recounted, "Their assistant brought me out a bottle of Ace of Spades champagne, and that was the signal that I got. Then straight after the show, she was ushered to a private room." She also talked about a situation where she partied with Diddy, but I don't know if I'd call it a party. She was at his home, and he brought out his son's birthday cake, and she was there. She said that he was not very present, just lurked around, and felt that it could have been different if the kids weren't there. He would have probably tried to approach her. But she never noticed anything suspicious about him. But here's my problem with this. Like, can we just stop treating women like they're property? Like this is mine for the night. Like she's a fucking trophy, whatever. It's just not okay. That's my problem with it. But I felt that you guys would find that they have these little signals that they do with each other. And so, yeah. Anyways, I digress. That was that story. Let's talk about Jennifer Lopez. And yes, I know that's not a picture of Jennifer Lopez. I'm going to tell you something. I don't know everything. And I was kind of taken aback when I saw this today that this was J-Lo's first husband. I did not know she was married prior to Sean Combs. I did not know that. I learned that today. And I don't know if I'm going to pronounce his name right, but his name is Ojani Noah. And she met him before she was really famous, before she was a megastar. Her career was just beginning to take off. And he talks about the fact that Diddy is responsible for their marriage breaking up. All right. So he was a Cuban immigrant and he met J-Lo while working as a waiter in Miami. And they got divorced in 1998, just 11 months after 11 months of marriage. He was working as a waiter in Miami, like I said. He met her in 96. He was 22. And he was working at Gloria Estefan's Cuban restaurant when Lopez came in to dine with two of her friends. J-Lo was then 28. And she was already a minor celebrity. She had starred as a fly girl on In Living Color. And she was in Miami to film a movie, which was called Blood and Wine with Jack Nicholson and Michael Caine. And this dude had no idea. I mean, again, very minor celebrity. Sorry, somebody corrected me that she only dated Diddy. That's correct. Sorry. Yes, I didn't know she was married prior to Diddy's relationship. I misspoke. So thank you for that. But anyways, he didn't know who she was. She was just coming up. They said he described their meeting as their eyes glanced at each other, and he thought she was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Then J-Lo returned the next night, and her friend invited Ojani to come to the rap party for the movie. And it was at a nightclub. He said he got the chance to dance with J-Lo, and when a slow song came on, described it as being electric, that they could both feel the romantic energy, that it was instant and intense. And the romance quickly blossomed between the two of them. With Ojani insisting that they were able to keep things pretty low key and that she liked that he wasn't starstruck by her. Now, eventually he did quit his waiter job to move with her out to Los Angeles, where they lived in a nice apartment, then a house, and then the houses kept getting bigger. And then a year after meeting, he proposed marriage to her, and he presented her with a $15,000 ring, which to him was a fortune. I mean, remember, this guy's working as a waiter. $15,000 on a ring back in like the late 90s. That's a Ohani. Somebody's saying it right. Okay, thank you. $15,000 ring in the 90s. I mean, even today, for a lot of people, for most people, that's unfathomable. But he was trying to put forth, in my opinion, what he's doing, right? And so he offers this ring to her. They have a small, intimate ceremony with friends in at another friend's Miami waterfront backyard. He said there were a couple issues with the marriage. That one is the marriage couldn't withstand J-Lo's desire for public attention, especially after the success of Selena. She was really, really into the media attention. And he said that he said, quote, that he can relate to the Affleck's self-described frustration with her constant need to be in the spotlight or to share aspects of their private life on social media, which social media would have been very, very new back then. Been like MySpace and AOL, I guess. I don't know. He also implicated that Diddy played a very large part in the demise of their romance, because after their wedding, Ohani remained in LA to open a nightclub that was part owned by J-Lo, while she went to New York to make her album with Diddy. He said that he began to become alarmed and he started to see photos of J-Lo with Diddy. And he said, he goes, I rang Jen and asked her why she was going out with him on dates. And she said, it's just business. This is what I'm being told to do. I have to do. And he goes, I was jealous and I would scream, but you're married. He also said that he tried to save the marriage And when he said, when I could, I would go be with her. But he goes, the deception had already started. He said, even while their marriage was in trouble, he was encouraged to fake it in public, including when J-Lo did an interview with Oprah and he was in the audience. The couple eventually split in 98 and J-Lo began to date Diddy shortly after the divorce was finalized, at least publicly. Then they apparently managed to remain friendly for a while. And then while J-Lo was dating Ben Affleck for the first time in the early 2000s, she asked Ohani to manage another LA restaurant that she had opened. But in 2005, he was let go from the restaurant and he sued for unfair dismissal. He also has expressed bitterness about how his breakup with her and their court battle hurt his career, saying that it undermines his chance to land several jobs. But he insisted he bears his ex-wife no ill will, saying there's no bad feelings at all. I would always be her friend. It's just, I feel like with this story, this article, that it really kind of paints a picture when we're coming to, to terms and talking about this kind of stuff. Because it just shows who he is. He knows that she's married. He's still pursuing her. He's still doing everything. He just doesn't care. He has, even then in the 90s, he has total disregard because he's Puffy. He's Puff Daddy. He's Sean Combs. He's the one who found and launched Biggie. He did not care about anybody but himself. And look, I know that Diddy is not the first, nor will he be the last to cause a marriage to break up, to cause an affair to happen, to be part of that and participate. And it's not just celebrities, obviously, that do it. But even so, I think that it does paint a little bit of a picture. Now, before I pull up this next headline, people, and the biggest reason that I'm doing this one is to quell rumors that are going to start from it. All right, because this has to do, you're going to see when I pull it up. Do not take this headline at face value. We are going to digest it. All right, guys. So just, all right. Okay. Take a minute to digest that headline. The headline's correct, but look at the picture. But it's very misleading, in my opinion. It's, Sean Diddy Combs employees were required to carry pink. I know it's not really snow, but we'll call it snow, which is the same thing that was found in Liam Payne's system. So what does this article do, guys? And this is People. I expect more out of People than this. But, and you can disagree with me on that. That's fine. They make this look like Diddy had something to do with Liam Payne's death, which is fueling a rumor that has been going on since he passed away. That there is no truth that Diddy or Beyonce or Jay-Z or any of the other rumors you heard have anything to do with Liam Payne's death from the official reports. And remember, these aren't reports coming from America. These are reports coming from South America. So, you don't look at them the same way that you look at, American reports. Don't look at it with the same conspiracy theory lens that people do with American law enforcement. This is a completely different country, right? And they're saying that he was alone, at least as far as we know, when all of this happened. Now, we don't know whether it was accidental, if it was an OD, if it was on whatever happened. We don't know that at this point in time. But we do know that, according to them, he was alone when the event of his death occurred. So I still think this article is important, though, because I think that it's interesting because it also it corroborates a lot of what some of these lawsuits are saying. So, talking about Liam Payne, I'm just going to read this part real quick because they really, I'm going to read it to you exactly how they did it because it'll show you how what they tried to do here was kind of effed up. It says a complaint was filed in February alleges that employees working for Sean Diddy Combs were required to carry pink, a substance that was also found in Liam Payne's system following his death. ABC News reported that a partial autopsy revealed that Payne, who died October 16th after falling from a third-story balcony at a hotel in Buenos Aires, Argentina, had multiple substances in his body, including the pink, which is a substance that the National Capital Poison Center says usually contains some mixture of methamphetamine, ketamine, and MDMA. And even though it's called pink, snow, that particular thing is not necessarily found in it despite the name. So when you see this article and you read this, you're like, hey, This sounds like Diddy had something to do with Liam's death, but that's the only time they mention Liam at all in this article. So I think that they did this whole situation dirty. I really do. But let's talk about this, because basically what's happening here with this, and this came from Little Rod, was that Diddy required employees to carry this with him, and the drugs, or the substance, also known as Tucci. Just so y'all know, so if you see that, that's the same thing. But the complaint that was done, by Little Rod, says that Combs did, like so many other people, gave him substances. And the complaint also detailed claims that the substance use was rampant within his business empire. It also alleges that all employees, from the butler to the chef to the housekeepers, were required to walk around with a pouch or fanny pack filled with snow, GHB, X, green leafy gummies, and Tucci. Now, of course, Diddy's vehemently denied all of this stuff, calling Little Rod nothing more than a con man, shamelessly looking for an easy. I'm going to read you their statement exactly. Their response was this verbatim: Mr. Jones is nothing more than a con man, shamelessly looking for an easy and wholly undeserved payday. We have overwhelming, indisputable proof that his claims are complete lies. Our attempts to share his proof with Mr. Jones, with Jones' attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, have been ignored, as Mr. Blackburn has refused to return our calls. We look forward to addressing these ridiculous claims in court and intend to take all appropriate action against all those who are attempting to peddle. Here's the thing. That's the typical cut and paste. Everything these 300 people are saying is a lie. I'm telling the truth. I never assaulted Cassie. Then the video comes out. So whatever. We'll wait for the day in court. We'll wait for the day in court on that. So much, guys. So much with this. Now let's talk about the latest lawsuit that we have going on. So there were 7 filed on Monday, as you know, and every single day we get a little bit more information on one of those. So we're going to talk about a John Doe. This happened in 2022, June of 2022. And we have a lot more details. So again, like I said at the beginning, when I talked about the man in Alabama, the predator in Alabama, I should say, this one I think needs a trigger warning too, like all of Diddy's lawsuits. So this victim was identified only as John Doe, and he claims that he was repeatedly SA'd by men and women at Diddy's party in June 2022, including an unnamed celebrity who he was forced to perform, on. The famous person, who's only identified currently as Celebrity A, then spit in the trainer's mouth, according to the filing. While in and out of consciousness, individuals at the party forced this guy into S acts with both men and women. His physical disposition made it impossible for him to reject their advances or otherwise control his body. These individuals, including Combs, essentially passed John Doe's body, which was, given a lot of substances, around like a party favor for their personal enjoyment. Now, according to this John Doe, he is a personal trainer to a lot of stars and other noteworthy people. And he claims that he was invited to the event by a fashion designer who had told him that Sean Combs was impressed with his training regimen and wanted to include him in a music video. They picked him up. It was all really nice, in a black Lincoln Navigator driven to Diddy's Hollywood mansion. And he was made, as soon as he walked in, to sign an NDA. He was also given a drink that he was forced to drink that looked like a tequila soda mixed with cranberry juice. Again, another drink that sounds very similar to the other drinks that other victims have said that have described in their lawsuits. All right. That's the thing about this, with these things, is that there's a lot of consistency with all of these, including ones that are coming from different attorneys. Now, once inside, he spotted numerous celebrities before he was ushered into a dimly lit room where he alleges several well-known figures were engaging in Group S activities. Soon after, he began to feel disoriented, dizzy, and weak. At that point, he says that Diddy approached him, removed his pants, and performed on him. Hopefully you guys can fill in the blanks on this. Then Diddy allegedly ordered this guy, the plaintiff, John Doe, to basically return the favor, so to speak. Oh, sorry, I could be reading this wrong. It forced him to give the celeb. So maybe it was a different celeb. I think it could be talking about him. You know how these things, it actually reached the Bad Boy Records founder. You know how they do this crap, but forced him to do it regardless. Due to the haze of the drug that he had been clandestinely served, he was unable to resist or push Combs away. He felt trapped inside of his own body, unable to control it or understand what was happening around him. He claims he blacked out at some point during the party and regained consciousness outside of his apartment without his shirt and his phone. And those are the additional details that we have on that. So again, it is the typical MO of Sean Diddy Combs, right? It's absolutely insane. And every day we get more and more. I Google it. I'm like it's like today. Look at how many things we were able to talk about that come out about them. And I'm waiting for the shoe to drop on so many other people because, and I know all of us are like on these celebrities, on people that we know have been close to him for years, what they know, what they might know, what they might have been part of. You know, given his MO, was J-Lo passed around? Was she complicit? Did she know? Because we know she was there for the New York Club New York shooting, supposedly carrying the firearm. I don't know, guys. This guy has so much stuff surrounding him. So many people with allegations against him. I mean, this isn't one or two people. This is hundreds, if not thousands of people. It's thousands if you count all the phone calls these law officers have made. Absolute insanity. Now, coming up, I still owe you guys going through each of the court documents we've been able to find so far. And if you missed yesterday, I did this yesterday, I think, while I was on a live on TikTok. But if you go to my website, which is justinthennickofcrime.com, and you scroll down to the link section, you will see the first or second top link will take you to the court documents, like not the summary of the court documents, like the full-fledged, unedited, I mean, unless there's redactions, obviously, but unedited court documents, because I know that there's a lot of you guys out there that like to comb through this stuff, read it, get all the details, find common denominators, you know, do that kind of stuff. And so you can go see those, right? You can go look at those, read through them. And as I get more, I'm going to try to put them there. Somebody just asked, we'll answer a couple of questions I see coming across. Somebody asked if I think that Liam Payne was a star witness for Diddy. No. Sometimes, again, and I mean, don't disrespect. I'm not trying to be mean or anything like this. Sometimes you got to use common sense on this stuff. When you're talking about federal trials, the feds don't give any information about who their witness list is. Specifically in this case, in fact, they've been asking for who witnesses are, and they're not, and who people are giving allegations against them, and they won't provide it because they're trying to maintain their safety. So, again, if you hear something, make sure, and even me, even if I say it, I mean, don't take my word for it. I try to be as credible as I possibly can and keep a high level of integrity. I don't always get everything right. When I get something wrong, I do try to remedy that. But that's also why I try to always give you guys articles and stuff in the background, so you know that I have a source. But always double check, because if it sounds ridiculous and you haven't heard it all over the place, especially if it's big news, just be wary. That's all I'm saying on this. Now, guys, that's all I got for the day. We'll be back tomorrow, I'm sure, with more going on. It might be late. I'm supposed to be doing a show talking about Diddy tomorrow. So I'll be on probably shortly after that. But other than that, I will see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Again, hit that subscribe button if you don't already. That's a massive solid for me. It does me a huge favor, no matter which platform you're watching this on, TikTok, Insta, YouTube, Facebook. Please help me grow these accounts. It's something that I truly appreciate. Anyways, y'all have a good one, and I will see y'all soon.